Radio.com, the Lighthouse 100.1 FM, pointing the way in Hampton Roads.
Welcome to another great broadcast of Picking Up the Habit with Brother Tim and Frady here on WPMH 100.1 The Lighthouse. Picking Up the Habit explores biblical topics, culture, and the world around us through a Christian biblical perspective. Join us today and give us a call at 757-488-5299. And now, here is Brother Tim and Frady. Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to Picking Up the Habit. It is Frady. Thanks for hanging with me. As we mentioned last week, Brother Tim is not here this week, so I am flying solo. Well, I do have a special guest, but I am flying solo here for the show. Thanks for hanging with us. So give us a call if you like. As you know, this is a caller-driven show. We want to hear from you. You can give us a call at 757-488-5299. That's 757-488-5299. If it's your first time here, what it is we are a thought-provoking show. We want to talk about things that'll get people thinking about the kind of things, regardless of what the topic is. We want to hear from you. And if you have questions, we will gladly try to answer them the best as I can, or with my guest, if she can step in and try to help. Brother Tim is definitely the more knowledgeable out of me and him, but we can get you through it. I do have a special guest here today. Say hello, Kelly.
Hello.
Kelly is my wonderful, beautiful bride. We brought her in today because we're going to talk about counseling and mental health. And she is a resident counselor with a company called Mind Over Matter Therapy in Virginia Beach. That's correct?
That is correct.
I said that correctly.
You did.
She is currently a resident. She's been a resident for about 18-ish months now, 19 months. Almost finished, got your license.
Almost.
She got a master's of arts in clinical mental health counseling from Liberty.
I did.
So Kelly, tell us, I know the story, but the audience does not. So tell us a little bit about what got you into counseling and why we're here today.
Well, I will try to keep it brief. I have.
Oh, we got an hour. Go ahead, tell your thing.
Okay, I will tell all the things. I have always had an interest in mental health and psychology for years and years. I had lots of friends who were like, "Oh, you're a really good listener. You give good advice. You should be a counselor." And so for years, I was like, no, not going to do that. But then once I got into my undergraduate program, I started experiencing some mental health issues of my own. And it was determined that I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety. And I began taking a medication for those. And that was years and years ago. And I've been on quite the mental health journey ever since. But throughout that journey, it became clear to me that there is a shortage of qualified mental health providers out there these days. And with the advent of COVID and just the decline in mental health around the world, I thought it might be helpful if I did go ahead and step up and become a counselor. So that is when I started to learn more about counseling and pursued that career path.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I know that's my job to go for you, but you are a wonderful counselor. You do great work. And
thank you.
The reason why we brought her in today is mental health is a huge thing, is it not?
Mental health is a huge thing.
Yes. And it's a more growing, let's say more and more every year. It's becoming more accepted and more talked about and more things.
It is.
Rumor has it, I heard recently that 1 in 4 people per year get diagnosed with mental health in some form, some or fashion.
It has increased every year since 2011, 2017. It is basically the diagnoses in mental health have been going up every year. The most recent statistics from 2022, which are our newest ones, say that 19.86% of adults, or nearly 50 million Americans, have a mental health diagnosis that does not include developmental or substance uses.
Now, and those are all great facts, and they're legit facts. But when it comes to the church, I feel there's a stigma when it comes to mental health, and that's kind of why I want to bring you. And unfortunately, my other guest was not able to, which is fine. You are great. You can answer all these. But that's why I want to do the show today when Tim mentioned, because I feel like, well, I've heard plenty of pastors say, just pray more.
I have heard that myself.
Let's talk about that one.
Well, I mentioned that I was diagnosed in my freshman year of college with mental health issues. And when I came home to share it with my family, one of the advice pieces I was given was, well, have you tried praying more? And I said, well, yes, prayer is important, but there are also chemical issues at play here, I feel. And so, um, yes, so I have definitely heard the pray more. And there, as you said, is a huge stigma within the church that has grown over time. There are actually stigmas in lots of different cultural pieces of America, whole groups of people who are like, I'm not going the mental health route because I don't want to be crazy. I don't want my people to think that. But thankfully, the stigma is kind of reducing over time.
So yes, and there's been other instances we both heard. There was one time we were listening to a podcast and the pastor pretty much said mental health wasn't real. I heard that, or recently when we were doing research for the show, so I didn't hear it, I read it. 91% of Christians in the church don't so much believe in going to mental health therapy and treatments. More because, what do you think? What do you think as far as that respect from a Christian standpoint? I know before you became a counselor, what did you think as a church growing up?
Well, I have been in a church my entire life, and I feel like over a lot of people are given the impression by their clergy or their church leadership that by showing signs of mental health issues, they are in fact showing a lack of faith in biblical principles, or they are rejecting or ignoring the promises of God. So, as that is a leadership driven thing, I think that is one of the things that perpetuates the stigma in the church.
So do you think we have an overall, and we're going to get into stats, and I know you're going to show us biblically reasons why it's okay to get their mental health, and give us a call if you think there's a stigma in the church, or if you think pro or against if you are clearly, hopefully most of you are Christians. If you are not, great, still give us a call, but give us a call 757-488-5299. We do want to talk to you all. 757-488-5299, or visit us. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Just search Picking Up the Habit on YouTube, and you can watch us live and even leave comments, ask questions. If you don't want to call in, you don't have to, and we can get to those that way. But do you definitely feel that a church as a whole is not embracing mental health?
I do feel that way, and I wish I didn't, but the over spiritualization of mental health concerns really is a detriment to people as far as them then seeking help, because there are other issues. One of the podcasts I listen to talks about the different parts of what makes us whole humans. And that's something I also use when I'm interviewing my clients. Basically, there's a biological part, psychological, social, and spiritual. So of those four parts, spiritual is only a quarter, but these parts do all kind of act together to kind of act as a checks and balances. So go ahead.
No, I'm here with you. I'm here with you. Go ahead.
So if you focus solely on one area, like the spiritual, then you are not you're neglecting the other areas, and then they can grow weaker and just not receive the treatment they need. Like when I say biological portion specifically, I mean the medical, the physical part, the parts of chemicals and the nerves that make your brain work.
So, all right. And that's all. And I agree with that in a lot of respects. But for those of you out there, who might not believe and they're on the fence about that, and they think like your father and other pastors and other people over the years, have you thought about praying more? what do you say to those who are like mental health therapy and mental health? It's still a newer thing. It's still relatively new in the years. It hasn't been. I mean, yes, it's been around for a while, but it hasn't been as popularized. It has been the last few years and stuff like that. And we've
Mhm,
gotten more and more research, just like everything. So,
mhm.
what is it to like back in? What is, could it be demons?
It certainly could. That would be one of the spiritual components. Like I said, there can be spiritual issues at play, but not always is it solely a spiritual issue.
Okay. Okay. So
For
what is?
instance, if
Okay.
you are possessed by demons, chances are you're going to have some other issues going on, whether they be physical or mental, psychological. You're not going to be living a happy-go-lucky life, most likely, if you are possessed by demons.
Okay, so if I am suffering from some mental health, and there's some proof, I think there's some proof even in the Bible that certain people like David, maybe Matthew, a few different people suffered from
Mhm,
depression, a few things, and I know you have things on that coming
I
up,
do.
hopefully. Um, why seek counseling then? Why can't I just talk to my pastor?
You certainly can talk to your pastor, and I think that's a great place to start. However, I would think that if the pastor is not able to give you enough advice or enough guidance wherein the your symptoms are not being alleviated, then you would need to look to other sources.
Give us a call, 757-488-5299. That's 757-488-5299. Tell us, do you agree with Kelly? Do you think mental health is important? Do you think mental health should be more um, accepted in the church? Do you think it is not accepted either or and do you think we just need to pray more? So give us a call, 757-488-5299. All right, Kelly. So hit me with some knowledge. Why should why should Christians seek out mental health? If they're on the fence, they don't think they should do it, stuff like that. Why is it okay to seek out mental health? And if so, why?
Absolutely, it is okay. And it goes back to what I said about those four parts of an individual. In order to really be the very best person we can be, we need to take a holistic approach. So, yes, we need to address that spiritual portion, focus on faith, get into the word, reconnect with our creator. But we also need to address the physiological situations that are happening in our bodies. And sometimes it's not just a chemical imbalance. Sometimes it's a social situation that we've gotten ourselves into. So sometimes there are many areas that need to be addressed.
Okay, such as?
Trauma plays a huge part, which I'm sure lots of people have heard about post-traumatic stress disorder in soldiers. But in this day and age, I strongly and firmly believe that pretty much the whole world has PTSD after COVID because I believe that almost everyone that knew about it was afraid for their own health and safety, which does leave a lasting impression. And studies have shown that traumatic events of that nature, and a variety of others, of course, can have a huge impact on how your brain processes things and how you think and feel.
Okay, and okay, biblically, is it is there a pro or con in the Bible that tells us what we should or should not?
My studies have shown that the Bible does not directly say you should or should not seek mental health assistance. However, it does reference many mental health issues. So I think it actually shows quite a lot of examples of mental health challenges and struggles in some of the people who were closest to God. So um, I think that was kind of a nice way for God to make sure that believers today have have the normalization of mental health.
Okay, all right. So let me think about this. I'm trying to come up with a way. And once again, give us a call, 757-488-5299. Give us a call. Talk with Kelly. Tell us why you think do you think are you okay with mental health? Are you against mental health? Do you think we don't need it? We just pray more. Um, stuff like that, give us a call, 757-488-5299. So, all right. So you're saying we should seek out mental health
Mhm.
and more than maybe just counseling. Pastors are great, elders are great, stuff like that. How do you find the right path? I mean, there's so many therapists out there. What if one doesn't believe in church? What if I go to a therapist or a psychiatrist or a counselor or something, and they don't go to church, and now they don't believe in religion, they don't believe in Jesus, they don't believe in God, they don't believe in any of that.
That's a really good question. There are a lot of resources on the internet that can help connect you with providers of mental health services that kind of meet your needs. But as I say frequently to both my clients and anyone I'm talking to, not every client is perfect for every clinician, and not every clinician is perfect for every client. You just might not jive. You might not have the same beliefs. So I think a lot of people need to know that it's okay to go to a provider that doesn't necessarily have everything you're looking for. Give them a try, learn a little bit about it, and they will totally understand if you don't vibe with them. You just don't have that connection. You are welcome to try many different providers until you find the one that does meet your needs, does have the faith, or can incorporate it the way you want, and can really can address your specific issues, because a lot of providers also have specialties, areas of expertise that may serve you, but might not serve me. So not every fit is right.
Okay, and I agree with you. I do, but like I go to a therapist, they don't believe in God. How
Mhm.
do I incorporate my spirituality into that still? Because if they're telling me this, if I'm going to a therapist as a Christian, I'm already feeling like I don't know if I completely buy into this.
Mhm.
I feel like I just, like you said, just need to pray more, believe in God, because the Bible tells us God can heal all things.
Mhm.
So if God can heal all things, why I just ask God to heal me, I'm good, right? I mean, so if I ultimately decide to pick a therapist or a psychiatrist or anyone in the mental health field that can
Mhm.
help me, and they don't believe in God, how's that going to help me?
Well, that provider's probably not the right one for you. You would want to narrow it down to one that is more faith-based. A lot of people do not realize that as part of training to be a counselor, we are taught a wide variety of cultures and beliefs to kind of know about, be aware of, but we're also taught that we as counselors, we're not advisors. We are here to guide you through your own thought processes, which means we keep our opinions and beliefs pretty well boxed up inside. It's one of our ethical considerations. We are not supposed to project our beliefs onto our clients. Now, with that said, I do always ask during my intake interviews what a client believes in, if they have a faith-based belief. And then I do also ask them if they want that incorporated in their treatment. And then I follow their lead with how much they want that covered. With that said, there have been a lot of studies recently that have shown that incorporating prayer habits as well as meditation on biblical verses have shown to be very positive as far as helping with symptoms of various mental health issues.
All right, expand some more on that. Tell me. So we should incorporate the Bible with with our mental health
Mhm.
therapy.
That is an
Um,
option.
so guide me through that some more. How can we go about that? How can someone go about that? And keeping a focus on, because of course, while mental health is great, and how I mean, I'm married to a counselor, so I'm okay with mental health myself, counsel myself. How can we, as you say, you're not supposed to push your ideas. So how do you help incorporate someone who is struggling with faith, and help use God and the Bible and prayer, along with helping with those services that you or any other therapist or mental health professional can help with?
One thing I personally do, which was part of one of my classes at Liberty, where we were learning about incorporating psychology and spirituality, the science versus the faith, was we did do a lot of discussion on that, how to incorporate it in a way that was not necessarily pushing our views onto our clients. And one thing that I really identified with that I try to use these days is that I incorporate prayer a lot as an individual. I pray for my clients generally before sessions and sometimes after sessions. I'll start my day with prayer just to help seek the wisdom from the Lord as far as how I help people. And also, I pray pretty regularly for my clients as they're going through their life challenges. That's one way I can incorporate my faith without actually pushing, for lack of a better word, my faith onto them and their therapy.
All right, so I come to you. I'm struggling with depression.
Hmm.
Okay, I know you can't counsel me over the air. I know that's you're not allowed to do it. But how would I'm still trying? How would we? How can we incorporate both? If I'm depressed, and my pastor's telling me just pray more,
Hmm.
but you're telling as a therapist, okay, we maybe need to go a different route. Also, not that the prayers are important.
Hmm.
Who do I believe? My pastor's saying just pray. Like your dad, my father-in-law, a
Hmm.
wonderful man, pastor, great, former pastor, stuff like that, great knowledge. So I'm a member of his congregation, and he's saying, just pray. You're depressed, just pray more. Or
Hmm.
I'm suffering from thoughts that I shouldn't be thinking of. I'm thinking about hurting myself,
Hmm.
and my pastor saying, just read the Bible, which is the correct answer. And I'm not saying that's not the correct answer,
Right.
also, but just pray. That's all you need right now. And you're telling me, I need other help.
Let me
Who do I
interrupt
believe?
you just a moment,
Sure.
and put a statement in there that if you came to a pastor and you said to him, I'm thinking of hurting myself in some way, he would be doing you a huge disservice to say, well, just pray, because you are clearly in an unsafe state for yourself. So I would say to anyone listening, if you or someone you know is having thoughts of harming yourself um, in the most extreme ways or not, please reach out for help. Go to your call 911 if it is imminent. You can also text or call the suicide hotline. They made it super easy. The number is now 988. So if you are experiencing those darker thoughts or that you may be at risk to yourself or others, please reach out for help.
And yes, those are all great things, and I agree with all of that. But again,
But
so
then how would I
how would you
counsel
right
you if you
if
came to me?
say just depression? I'm
Hmm.
depressed. Everyone seems to be depressed. I
It's true.
heard like 10% of the regular church body suffers from depression. And
Hmm.
I read the most recent stat on that as I'm doing research for this week, and so 10% of the church is depressed all the time.
Hmm.
I'm in a church. I just happen to be in a congregation where the church might not believe in mental health. It's possible,
Hmm.
and I just want to go my pastor. So I'm depressed. The Bible says pray more, pray more, pray more. Again, not saying it shouldn't.
Hmm.
But what should I do if it's not so much helping me, and I'm coming to you? And what should I do?
Well, you're right. It is hard to counsel over the air because there are so many different therapeutic approaches. Each person gets an individualized kind of plan. But if in this case, if you are like a first time therapy seeker and you're not sure you even believe in it, but you do believe in God, I would say I would probably use a metaphor for you. Um, yes, prayer is important. Yes, but the two thoughts do not contradict one another. You can pray and still seek mental health help. Just like if you had a broken arm, yes, you would pray, but you would also go to a doctor and have that arm set so that it would heal properly. The brain is very similar. The body, mental health is oftentimes an actual physical issue that can be addressed. So, yes, pray, but also seek help to fix it and not just, try to ignore it or push it down.
Okay. All right. We're coming towards the top of the hour, so we're going to probably go to a commercial break in a few minutes. But first, I just want to thank our sponsor, Worley's Home Services. Worley's Home Service, they deal with all the things. They HVAC, floors, plumbing, all the great things. They've been a sponsor here. Chuck and Chase Worley are two wonderful men. Brother Tim tells you about that every week. Great Christian men, great Christian company. As Brother Tim will tell you, they don't just say they live the lifestyle; they definitely go and help the lifestyle. So definitely give a shout out to Worley's Home Services. You can give them a call at 757-356-4117. Again, that is 757-356-4117. We're going to take our station identification break real quick. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
You're listening to The Lighthouse, W245CK Suffolk, W261DI Norfolk, and WPMH Newport News.
Do you have a car sitting around you want to get rid of? Then here's a great idea. Donate your car and help veterans and their families. Yes, one fast call to the Veteran Car Donation Program and we'll come and remove your car for free. Fast, free towing, and 24-hour response. You can donate most cars, trucks, or SUVs in most conditions. The proceeds raised goes to help active military, veterans, and their families, and you get a tax deduction. All you need to do is make this free call. Get rid of that old car and help the vets. We make it easy. Make this free call now and book your fast and easy pickup. Call the Veteran Donation Program now. Donate your car and help veterans and their families. Operators are standing by. Here's the number.
800-887-1097. 800-887-1097. 800-887-1097. That's 800-887-1097.
Hello there. I am Alan McFarland, the pastor of Calvary Evangelical Baptist Church in Portsmouth, Virginia. I am so privileged to air the Joyous Sound radio program each morning, 7:30, Monday through Friday. Tune in. This program is designed to be a blessing to you and your church. God bless you.
Mold, trash, rodents, snakeskin, even deceased animals. No, this isn't a Halloween shopping list. It's what might be under your house, in your crawl space. Schedule a free crawl space inspection with the Crawl Space Company and find out what's in your crawl space. Call 757-394-3494 to schedule your free inspection or visit thecrawlspacecompany.net. So, do you know what's in your crawl space?
Actual client review of Hartman Dentistry.
I just want to say that I just went to Dr. Hartman, and she is absolutely wonderful.
What did you think when you walked in? Did it just feel like it was a relaxing place to be?
Yes, it's very nice, very clean, very bright. You're not sitting in a room with just four walls. The room that I was in, you could see outside.
Did you have a wait before you walked in?
I was there maybe 15 minutes before I got into the office, and so I got into my chair, and then maybe another 30 minutes while the technician, did X-rays and all.
And so, are you going to go back and get your teeth fixed the way she says?
I'm going to try. I am going to try because I really trust her, and the only reason I went is because you thought so highly of her.
I got to tell you, I'm in love.
Give Hartman Dentistry a call at 757-873-3407.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to Picking Up the Habit here on WPMH 100.1 The Lighthouse. It is Friday. I am hanging with you this week. Brother Tim is not here. He'll be off this week and next week as he takes care of some things. Everything's fine. Everything's good. He's just on vacation taking care of some things, and that's okay. It's always good to get a vacation in now and then. I'll be doing that in November as I go to Disney World. But I do have a special guest in the studio. Her name is Kelly. Hello again, Kelly. Oh, let me turn her mic up. That works.
Hi, hello.
Welcome back. Welcome back. If you just recently joined us, because we have, we figured out, we've learned that we got two totally different shows.
Mm.
Our show goes, as you know, 5:30 to 6:30. But we've
Mhm.
noticed that we get one set of people between 5:30 and 6, and another set of people between those who get off at 6. Like you get off work at 6 o'clock.
Right. I usually join
Y-
to listen at
you listen,
6.
right? You
Mhm.
are one of the second half of the show listeners where
Yep.
you so we sometimes almost just do completely different shows. We've done that because they're like, hey, well, this because like because you can't turn the car until 6 o'clock and you listen
Right.
to the last half hour show. But for those who have not been listening so far, this is my wife Kelly.
Hello. Okay.
She is a counselor or currently a resident counselor.
Resident and counselor.
She's almost got her license. But she is a resident and counselor at Mind Over Matter Therapy in Virginia Beach.
Mhm.
She has a master's of arts in clinical mental health counseling. I know you've already gone over how you got into counseling, but let's kind of recap it a little bit about what brought you into counseling. For those who just recently joined us.
The short answer is I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety in my freshman year of college. And throughout my mental health journey as an adult, it became clear to me that there was a very large need for knowledgeable, helpful, caring professionals in the world to meet the increased demand of mental health uh, clients, basically people with mental health challenges and diagnoses. So, as I was looking for a new career, I decided to pursue that. I spoke with God and decided that he was a fan of that plan.
And that's kind of what we brought Kelly onto. As I mentioned at the top of the show, is mental health has definitely it's become more well known,
Mhm.
more socially acceptable around the world.
Mhm.
As the years go on, and we talk about it, and statistics show 1 in 4 people a year get diagnosed with mental health of issues of some form.
Mhm.
But I feel like in the church, it's still a big stigma. I feel like the church, not individually, maybe as a whole, maybe for some, maybe more, isn't accepting it as much.
Mhm.
Because as you told your story about your dad, my wonderful, wonderful father-in-law, who is a former pastor, when you told him you were diagnosed with depression, what did he tell you?
He at the time, first it was many years ago. He's changed his mind since then.
A little
But
bit.
he did tell me to, you should pray about it more. Have you really gotten into the word and have you prayed?
And while yes, that is definitely an answer we should always give
Mhm.
for everything we do, seek God, seek the Bible, seek Jesus, seek that.
Mhm.
As you mentioned before, like when we break an arm,
We don't just pray
I'm not
about
going,
it.
Lord, can you heal my arm?
Right.
And it's you go to a doctor,
Mhm.
you seek a good doctor, they help you. There's treatments. Yes, you still pray that you're going to get full range of motion in your arm back, that it's going to get healed,
Mhm.
but you still seek a doctor.
Right.
So, and as we've talk about, we've heard pastors before that say mental health is not a real thing, and we want to hear from you. Give us a call, 757-488-5299, 757-488-5299. Vittorian, I see you on YouTube. Good evening, sir. Give us a call if you'd like. Yeah, we're going to talk about just the premise of what we're talking about is it okay for Christians or Bible believing anybody, I mean, regardless of your denomination,
Mhm.
Jews, Mormons, Christians, Methodists, Baptists,
Believers.
anybody who believes in God, is it okay to still go to mental health? And tell us why it's okay, and give us some scripture, some quotes, and if you're pro or against it. If you don't think we need mental health, or if you do, give us a call, 757-488-5299.
Well, as I said earlier, there are the 4 components of the whole being, and you do need to treat them all in order to be the best person we can be. So the spiritual aspect is important, but the biological and psychological aspects are important as well. And for a pastor to say that mental health is not real, then that's not true, because there have been lots of science. Significant studies have shown that mental health is a real thing and it needs to be treated in certain ways.
We have a caller on the air. Alexandria, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Welcome to Picking Up the Habit. You said you had a comment about today's episode. Hit us with it.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you for your wife that is talking about it, because mental health, there is a stigma in mental health. I am a millennial, and I will say, being raised in the church, born and raised in the church, that it was always Jesus, 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 and you were specifically me. I'm African American, was raised in a Black holiness church. And so we were always told that it was only Jesus. Jesus is all you need. And I've never then, and nor do I now dispute that. But I do believe that everything that is made in the earth was made by God. Every profession, every discipline was made by God. And so we don't have to discredit the help that he's made, just like he made physicians. He's made lawyers, all of these professions that were made by God. We don't have to neglect those that he made for our mental health, and that it does not show signs of weakness because you choose to go and seek therapy or seek counseling. I personally am a believer of Christ and the couch. Go sit on the couch, and deliverance comes at the altar, but transitioning and being able to process through all of what has happened and is going on in your life, you process that through a therapist. So there's nothing wrong with that. And I will say that, and this is my last comment, that as a millennial, I am noticing, specifically in the Black churches, that there are a lot of preachers who are now embracing the idea of having a therapist, because it is understood that a lot that goes on, specifically with pastors and leaders, they have their own mental health as well, and it comes from a lot of issues that are going on within the church as they are shepherding the sheep. And so they are now embracing being able to process everything that goes on with them on a couch with a therapist. And Jesus was not surrounded by dumb disciples. They were physicians, they were lawyers, they were fishermen. So if he surrounded himself by people with professions and trades and educational disciplines, then it's okay that we too go to these people as well. So thank you for allowing me to talk.
Amen. Amen. Thanks for giving us a call, Alexandria.
Yeah, Alexandria, that was exactly on point. I really appreciate you saying those things. And I agree with you. My own pastor speaks quite regularly about his mental health journey and his experience with trauma and anger issues and his seeking mental health.
And he does, yeah. He brings it up a lot. And our shout out to Pastor Joel of Church of Hampton Roads. But even our former pastor of our old church before we moved down here to Chesapeake.
Right.
It's kind of was your mentor and kind of got you into it. Pastor David Price of Grafton Baptist Church in Yorktown. He had a counseling degree.
He did.
But she touched on a lot of great things, and as I repeat, the reason why I decided to do this show was because, as she mentioned, Jesus. Me and Kelly were listening to a podcast, and not that it mattered, I didn't bring it up on purpose, but she kind of brought it up. It was an African American pastor who said it, and he flat out said mental health is not a real thing. Just pray more. And you'd already graduated. We heard this in the last year. And you were not happy with it.
No, I wasn't. I was like, oh man.
But so it's what got me on this idea. And I agree. I do agree that you can have therapy and Jesus, because your favorite shirt is I just need Jesus and
Yeah, something along those lines. And
so,
coffee.
So let me ask you a question. Does it say in the Bible flat out? And again, give us a call, 757-488-5299, 757-488-5299, or join us on YouTube and leave us a comment. Are you for or against? Do you think Christians or believers of any kind need mental health counseling? Yes or no? And tell us why. Does the Bible say it's okay to seek therapy?
Oh, the Bible doesn't speak on it directly, but it does talk about caring for people. So I feel like that kind of indicates the church is supposed to care for people. And there are lots of representatives of mental health issues in the Bible that were cared for by people. So I think yes, while it does not specifically say you may go seek help with mental health issues, I feel like like Alexandria was saying, those roles were created by God. He would not have provided people with those skills if we were not intended to utilize them to better ourselves for him.
You are. I totally agree. So Alexandria brought up a good point about pastors. Do you think pastors should pastors are great. Pastors, of course, are who we seek.
Mhm.
Should pastors seek therapy?
I think absolutely.
I read, and I mean cut you off, and you'll tell me why. Because I
Mhm.
read in doing this research for this week, the latest, I think it was like 2022, and I don't know where the poll came from, of course, but per the poll, 49% of pastors they polled admitted to some sort of depression
Mhm.
or anxiety or things like that because of the job. Like these pastors take on
Absolutely.
lots of things. I mean, Brother Victorian, give me a call if you want. I know you do it, and they take on so much.
Mhm.
Is praying just enough to get through it?
I would say praying is not enough for them to get through it. I mean, I'm always saying I think everyone needs therapy, even if you don't have an official mental health diagnosis. We can all benefit from talking things out, clarifying our thoughts with other people, seeking input. And I think pastors definitely fall into that category because you're right. They do carry a huge burden. Not only are they responsible for the members of their church, but also often planning and finances. They tend to be counselors themselves for their people. And then, of course, they have their own families, their own lives on top of all of that. So, I 100% believe that a pastor or a clergy person should, if feel fine with seeking the help or the assistance of a therapist.
All right, so I'm a parent,
Mhm.
and I know you want to touch base on this part.
Oh, yes.
I'm a parent. My kid's suffering through things.
Mhm.
I don't buy it. I just pray more. That's like your dad told you. I know he changed his mind.
Mm.
Give us some statistics on, because look, like you said, COVID's changed the world. Lots of things.
Absolutely.
Children go through a lot of things. As a
Mhm.
former youth leader myself, I understand some of those things. So, tell us why it's important for why parents should, like, if you're on the fence and you just think, I don't know if my kid needs to go to therapy, because the Bible is all we need. Tell me why. Give me some statistics on why it's important to still seek therapy for parents or for children in general.
My experience with children these days, well, let me hit on the statistics first. A report from the National Institutes of Health for 2022 said that nearly 20% of children between the ages of 3 to 17 in the US have a mental, emotional, developmental, or behavioral disorder. 20%. Um, Also, their studies showed that mental health challenges are the leading cause of death or disability in that age group. So that alone should show you that it's almost epidemic proportions out there. I'm not sure what qualifies as an epidemic, but 20% is a huge number of children who are in a tough spot and could use a little help. And if they're not getting the help they need, because there are many barriers to treatment, including parents who don't feel it's necessary, then that increases their chance of damaging themselves, their lives, or like permanent disability. In 2020, suicide was the 12th leading cause of death overall in the United States, but it was the second leading cause in kids ages 10 to 14 and the third leading cause in ages 15 to 24. That's huge, and that's scary, and that's startling. And I think COVID served two purposes as far as mental health goes. One, it sent many people into a mental health tailspin, and then also because of that increase in mental health challenges, it made more people aware that mental health is a valid, real issue. A lot of people have a hard time believing something is real until they've experienced it themselves. So, by having those experiences, more people are becoming aware. As Alexandria said, more people within the church, within the clergy, and within the African American community are starting to stigmatize mental health less, but it is a long process.
All right, so you brought up suicide,
Mm-hmm.
and I got some stats for that.
Okay.
Now, this is from 2019. It was a survey done. for Facts and Trends, Lifeway president, CEO at the time. Would you be shocked? One of the stats that came out was 4% of churchgoers who lost a loved one. This is, like I said, and I understand this is 2019, 4 years old, but at the time, 4% of churchgoers who lost a loved one to suicide say church leaders were aware of the struggles and did not suggest mental health counseling. What do you say about that?
I think that's devastating because as I said, as believers, and especially as the leadership of a church, we are tasked to care for all people, but specifically also for our brothers and sisters in Christ. And for someone to express concern or upset to the level that they want to harm themselves, and for a leader who is tasked with caring for them to not utilize all of the tools available is a huge disservice. You are not, if you willfully neglect mental health treatment through therapy or counseling when you know full well that someone is at risk for suicide or self-harm, that is absolutely unforgivable in my mind. I know God would forgive it because he is forgiving, but I mean, everyone in the church trusts their leadership. And if their leadership is not encouraging them to care for themselves or caring for them in a way that helps, then that's not right.
I agree, and luckily it's only 4%. I mean, no, anything above 0% is not a good number. So what have I also told you of that same survey? 45% of the people polled, 45% of Americans say mental health could be overcome with just Bible study and prayer. 45% of the people.
I would be intrigued to know who all they surveyed, what their.
I'm hoping. Well, it's Lifeway, so I'm hoping they questioned believers.
Right, but if they only question believers, I don't know. It's very interesting.
But how did that make you feel? Where 45% of that poll believe that just prayer and Bible study could get you through, like suicide, like you're feeling suicidal,
right.
You're feeling depressed, you're feeling anything, and 45% of the church, or I'm guessing from that poll, is saying just pray more, just study the Bible more. And if you think that you agree with that 45% or you don't, give us a call, 757-488-5299. I want to hear from you all. What do you think? Don't just take our word for it. I know we got lots of great pastors and theologians and smart people who listen. So I want to hear from you all what you think about this. 757-488-5299. All right, Kelly, tell me, how do you feel about that statistic?
I think that statistic is very interesting. I do think it is important to note that study was done in 2019, pre-COVID, which did change a lot of the mental health landscape in America.
Let me ask you a question though. Did it?
Yes.
Do you think it did with the church? I mean, maybe overall the world, but do you think that COVID changed how people? I mean, I know, like Alexandria said, the church is somewhat changing, and it'll take and that's great, and I'm happy for that, and I know it'll take time. But do you think? I mean, a lot of non-believers didn't, and I'm not going to sit here and talk about COVID today. That will not be the topic of this conversation. We'll talk about mental health. But do you really believe that maybe COVID helped change the landscape a lot on how people believe on mental health?
I do. And it would be interesting to see Lifeway do another study now with those same people, just to see how those numbers have changed since that global experience.
All right. So we got 10 minutes left. And you can still give us a call, 757-488-5299. All right. As we're closing up, 10 minutes left. Kelly, hit me up. You're pro. You believe you can be a believer of any kind, and you should still go to therapy. Tell me give me your 10-minute spiel on why, not just you, of course. I mean, go see Mono Romano, go anywhere, people all around. But
why the Bible says mental health exists?
Yes, and why it's okay to seek, if you feel like you're down for any reason, why it's okay to go seek help,
Mm.
professional help?
Well, I did want to list a couple or a few of the people in the Bible that experienced mental health issues.
This is just no. This is we might get a call, and that's okay.
Okay.
This is just based off opinion, right?
No, well, I mean,
Oh, okay.
based on the actual scripture
Oh, okay.
references.
Hit me up because I think David. I think David.
David 100% dealt with depression, no doubt. Based on some of the psalms he wrote, it was clear that he was in a sad place.
I mean, I can't blame him. I mean, if I had an affair and I'm killing a man, I would struggle with depression myself.
He made some tough choices. So yes, his depression may have been situational, but that still qualifies as a mental health challenge. Also, Elijah. There's a great verse in I wrote it down. 1 Kings chapter 19, verse 4, where Elijah is out in the desert and he basically gives up the will to live. He just says, you know what? I don't want to be alive anymore. And so Elijah, one of the most well-known prophets in the Bible, was in fact suicidal, because that is the definition of suicide, is wanting not to be alive. And there's a fun little meme on the internet that says when he cried out to God about not wanting to live, God had him take a nap and provided a snack. So it shows that sometimes our mental health can be helped by self-care. Sometimes we need a nap and a snack. In that case, he did cry out to God. He did pray, and that did help. But he was also alone. He didn't have a lot of other resources at that time. I'll touch one more. Jesus himself, the Son of God, in Matthew, I believe, when he is in the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus says, I feel sorrow unto the point of death. So he was so deep in his despair over knowing what he needed to do to save us that he felt depression, again situational but definitely valid. But that touches on what Alexandria said as well. When he was in the Garden of Gethsemane, he had people with him to help him, to support him. He had the sons of Zebedee, James and John, and maybe other John was there. I forget the fine points. But as she said, he surrounded himself with people to help him through his challenges of being the Son of God. So even the Son of God was not beyond the human experience of having mental health breaks.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. And we only got a few more minutes left. So once again, give us a call, 757-488-5299. I definitely want to hear from more of you all. Tell me what you think. Do you agree with Kelly? Do you not agree with Kelly? We got a call. Hold on. Kelly, give me some more stats while I pick this phone call up.
Well, I did want to touch on some of the barriers that people perceive. Aside from just not believing mental health is a real thing, there are some other barriers that were identified by Mental Health America that keep people from getting the help they need. That those barriers can be as simple as not having insurance or having limited coverage. There can also be a shortage of mental health providers, which is what I spoke about as leading me to my career. And then there can also be a lack of treatment options or a disconnect between the primary care providers and mental health providers. And then, of course, insufficient funding.
We have a caller on the air. Her name is Michelle. She says she's also in the mental health field. Michelle, how you doing today?
I'm doing fabulous. Blessed by the best.
That's good to hear. Give us what did you call for today? Tell us what you wanted to say.
I heard you guys talking about, number one, about the COVID and what her thoughts are. Is she thought that COVID was really impactful. I have to tell you it was. I work with both adults and children, and having to be secluded, isolated from, your normal interactions with people. That seems to be what has driven a lot of kids to have so many more emotional problems right now. And you have children that have picked up eating disorders, literally, and overeating, and those that are not really eating enough. And then also not having the mental faculties to be able to understand that, this was, in fact, like she said, situational. It's something that happened. We weren't expecting it. definitely, I agree.
That's great to hear. Michelle, while I get you, if you don't mind, let me ask you a question. Are you I'm guessing you're a believer? You
Yes,
go to
I
church?
am.
Okay, so you go to church and all that. So do you
Yes.
believe there is a stigma in the church about mental health?
Well, I would say that that's correct. If you ask me about numbers, I wouldn't be able to give you numbers or percentages,
That's okay.
but I know that we are all able to, make a choice for ourselves. We
Mhm.
still have our faith essentially, but at the end of the day, we still believe in Christ as well. And so I pull where I need to. If you understand what I'm saying. So
I
when I need God, I need to pray. I do that, but I also am able to know and recognize when I need help. You know, and I guess around me. Support of others. My daughter was a victim of a shooting last year. She was shot in the head by her children's father,
I'm so
and she
sorry.
survived. And at this point, I had to call on both. I had to call on both God, and I had to call on resources that were around because it brought up PTSD for me. So you see what I'm saying. So yes, we need both. And in the church, they didn't shame me or anything like that. My choice was my choice. What I needed to do.
That's wonderful. I'm so sorry to hear about your daughter. I'm glad she's okay. Michelle, unfortunately, we got to go. We're running out of time, but we do appreciate your call today. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Bye
Bye
now.
bye.
Thank you, Michelle.
All right, Kelly, we got 4 minutes left. So give me if I'm suffering. Okay. I know
Mhm.
we agree. Lots of agreement today. Mental health is important. The church should embrace it more.
Mhm.
The Bible, first and foremost, we're not saying don't go to Bible. The Bible is the first thing. We should all reach out for everything, no matter what it is. Mental health, non-mental health. The
Mhm.
Bible is there to help us in all regards. But as we agree, seek out. But what should I do? I'm suffering. I'm suffering from any type of mental health. I might have it. What do I do real quick? Give me a 2-minute, 3-minute spiel on how can I get help? And go ahead and plug Mind Over Matter. We don't mind.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to repeat that if you are a risk to yourself or others having those dark thoughts, planning to harm yourself, then do call 988 or 911 or go to an emergency room and get help right away. Do not harm yourself.
And for those wondering, 988 is a text line, right?
No, 988 is actually the suicide hotline.
Okay, the suicide line.
Mhm.
Of course, 911, yes, if you got
Right. If you are
and give us some information on Mind Over Matter. If we and if want to seek, I mean, there's multiples. Don't get me. Seek out whatever is the best therapy group. But tell us about Mind. If you're local here, Virginia Beach, tell us about Mind Over Matter, how they can help.
Mind Over Matter Therapy in Virginia Beach is where I work. There are a lot of excellent providers there. I know they have availability for a variety of insurances. Self-pay is also an option, and there is a sliding scale available if funding is limited on your part. You can access us on the website, which is www.mindovermattertherapy.net. Net is very important, or you can call us at 757-652-7213.
Give me that number again.
757-652-7213. But let me add one more thing. There's also a lot of websites that can help connect you with providers. So you might also access psychologytoday.com. You can put in lots of what you're looking for as far as specific provider traits, and they can narrow down to providers that may be able to help you.
And also, if you
We're on there too.
we are here as a station. You can give us a call at our main number, not the station number. The main number is 757-488-1010, 757-488-1010. We can help you get connected with Kelly. We have access to her. I got direct access to her right here. And
I do inpatient as well as telehealth. So anywhere within Virginia, if you have family outside the area, I can help them as well.
But more importantly, just if you feel like you need to seek help, please seek help. 988, 911. Don't be scared. There are, like we said, if you broke your arm, you would go to a doctor.
Right.
If you're having thoughts that you feel you shouldn't have, with that. But before we head out, I want to thank our last sponsor, Hartman Dentistry. Hartman Dentistry is a wonderful sponsor. If you need your teeth done, Dr. Vanessa Hartman is the best that there is. She is a wonderful doctor. She trains. Not only does she have a PhD in dentistry, she's who people go to train. It's located in Newport News. Give them a call, 757-873-3407. Again, that is 757-873-3407. Ask for ask for Dr. Vanessa Hartman. Tell them you got the number from Picking Up the Habit. All right. Thank you so much. That is it for my time. I appreciate all of you. We're running around. We'll be back next Wednesday doing it all over again. Until then, be blessed. Thank you.